Hi, I'm Tyrrell of Uncommon Knowledge, and welcome to 3 reasons I never have my clients relive their traumatic experiences. Why talking through the trauma only embeds it. He told me all about the evil time machine. He told me in a way a man long accustomed to wrestling down tears tells you something. When he'd fought down his heartache enough to speak, he spoke very quickly, as if desperate to get it all out before he was overcome. And he said, "I was there in that kitchen 35 years, just dropped away like armour comes loose, leaving me naked and weak. University, my first job, my marriage, my adulthood, all gone because I was now in the past. I was 12, home from school on that day. And I saw it there. As it was right there again, not a memory, a reliving. The second I saw my mum hanging there, I knew she was dead. That second, the longest and the shortest of my life. That second that stretched out into so many years of depression and pain. I tried and tried to get her down. I started screaming, just as I had when I was 12. I couldn't stop crying. It's no good, I can't forget. I just can't, even after all this time." So Colin was one of several clients I've met over the years who'd been deeply traumatized from the horror of discovering the body of a loved one who'd committed suicide. And what was this time machine of which he spoke? Help can sometimes harm. Before he came to see me, Colin had been to a therapist whose treatment approach was based on the maxim that in order to help heal trauma, you have to relive it and re-experience all the original feelings again as they happened. That therapist also believed that many traumas are hidden or blocked out by the conscious mind and need to be uncovered and then relived through the imagination so that the client can get in touch with all the raw pain and emotions of that original time in order to let it go. This therapeutic myth has been around for over 100 years. Getting patients to relive their war traumas at the Tavistock Clinic in London, to the extent of reburying them if they'd been covered in mud after a bomb explosion, was thought to be the way to lift trauma, or hysteria as they called it at the time. The aim was to produce psychological collapse through the reliving of the ordeal. But from what we know now, any improvement that patients experienced wasn't brought about through the horrific reliving of the trauma, but through the calm brought on by the emotional exhaustion that followed after the emotional collapse. The emotions had run their course so much the person had collapsed into complete exhaustion. But we can help people access the traumatic memory by helping them disassociate from it calmly so that all the bad feelings can be avoided. Therapy should never be painful. And of course, if reliving trauma did work, people with PTSD would recover after their first flashback. So they don't need to go to therapy just to be given a flashback by the therapist. So with this in mind, here are the 3 main reasons I never get a client to directly relive their traumatic experiences. Reason 1, you can reactivate the pattern and embed the trauma deeper. As Dr. Noreen Tarani, an occupational health and counselling psychologist specialising in post-traumatic stress, explains, if a trauma victim is debriefed in a state of high emotion, the process can increase the arousal to the point of overload, trapping the sensory impressions in the amygdala. This is why critical incident debriefing after traumatic events is falling out of favour. Getting people to talk about trauma while they are still traumatized may not only help, but could actually make things a lot worse. See reference 1. Getting people to relive their trauma is not therapy, but it can be torture. Reason 2. Someone who desperately needs help may be put off ever seeking it. I was amazed that Colin still wanted anything to do with any therapy after what he'd been through with the therapist he'd seen before me. I did my best to undo the damage done by the outdated treatment he'd received, in itself almost as traumatic as his initial tragic experience. If you don't know how to de-traumatize someone, comfortably, then at least avoid hurting them or putting them off seeking any help in future from someone who might know how to do that. Reason 3, it's a waste of valuable time. If you're going the wrong way, it doesn't matter how fast you're traveling, you're still wasting time. People who are suffering flashbacks, experiencing horrendous daytime and night terrors, living the kind of life no one should have to live, leading to depression perhaps, and substance abuse maybe, or fractured relationships, ruined work lives and all the rest of it, need help right now. By all means, if you hold with that particular ideology, do as much long-term deep stuff, as you might think of it, with your client if they don't mind and have the money. Do as much of that as you and they want, but please remove their traumatic suffering as fast as you can, and preferably in the first session. Rocking the boat? Some therapists have told me that therapeutic practice should be a matter of choice for the therapist. Okay. As if methods of alleviating human suffering are a question of taste, like what movies appeal to us or what we feel to be good art. Would you say that hygienic practice in maternity wards should be a matter of choice? Whether to be absolutely filthy or to be really clean. Okay. The early promoters of hand washing were sneered at for suggesting it was better practice to have a clean environment rather than a dirty one. See reference 2. As if criticizing filth in operating theatres was somehow unfair, or the beliefs of doctors who saw no reason to wash their hands between patients. Relieving trauma comfortably and quickly is simply best practice. Colin no longer has flashbacks, either to the trauma of finding his mother dead or to the therapy that tried to help him. He's moved on comfortably and happily told me, I never have to relive it now. I hope you found that useful, and if you did, please hit like and subscribe. And if you want to hear when my next video is published, hit the notification bell below. I'm Mark Tyrrell of Uncommon Knowledge, and if you'd like to subscribe to my email newsletter, you can find it over at unk.com/blog. That's unk.com/blog. And thanks for watching.